Okay, you guys, we've unboxed this thing, and now it's time to set it up and get it ready to go. There's a number of steps of things that I need to do to it before it's ready to take to the field and start taking pesting or even to the range. And that's going to include getting the barrel cleaned. That's the first thing you got to do when you get these things. Clean that barrel and clean it good. Then we're going to add a scope to it, and then we're going to adjust the trigger, because when they come from a factory, most of these guns are going to come from a factory with safety in mind, so they don't get sued. They're going to have that thing about 2 pounds or better, most of the guns. And then they're going to tell you it's adjustable, you can adjust it, then you take the risk of adjusting it so much that it actually will not survive a drop test. And a drop test is when you bang the gun, it shouldn't go off. But some people set their triggers so light that just a jarring of the gun can make the gun go off. And the manufacturers don't want to deal with that as an issue, so they crank it up. So we will be adjusting that trigger. And then I'm going to play with the Shroud a little bit also, because the Shroud that comes with it is backyard friendly, but I like to get a little bit quieter. And I have a hack to do that with. I did a video on it. I'll talk about that later. And then finally we're going to take it out and adjust zero that scope. And once we zero that scope, we're going to be ready to go. So that's the phase we're at now. So let's go ahead and start on that right now. All right, let's go. Okay, we've mounted the scope, and let me just show you. I did a video on this, so I wasn't gonna do another video on how to mount a scope, but I got the scope all mounted and I got it set my eye relief to where it needs to be. But when I get ready to set the scope, in terms of trying to keep it from being canted, to get this aligned and the reticle straight up and down, I use these. Okay, and all they are is little bubble levelers. I got 4 of them. And what I do is I set them on the Picatinny, all 4 of them, in case one of them is off. And then the ones that match, I say, okay, that's true. This one is off, so I remove that one. I use those 3. And then once the bubbles are level, then I get a string and hang a string down and align this up and down part of the reticle right with that piece of string. And that makes sure that this thing is perfectly centered and up and down on the gun. I did a video on that. You might want to look into it, how I mount scopes and how I make sure that they're not canted and they are perfectly straight. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to clean this thing. Okay, and so what we need to do is just cock it. And whenever you cock it, make sure you put the safety on. And leave it back, leave the cocking mechanism back, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cleaning it from this side and pulling it through. Let me get the apparatus for that, and I'll come back and show you what we're going to be doing. Come back, and this is my gun cleaning stuff. It's all in here. And the thing I want to pull out is this thing here. And I made this, and there's a video on it. I have on cleaning your gun. And all this is I like to use the tennis. This is a tennis racket string. I used to be a tennis coach, so I got a lot of this stuff laying around. A lot of people use line 30-pound pest tester, heavier. And all we're going to do is take this thing here, push it through the barrel. And sometimes, because it's a shroud in here, it's hard to get it to go through. I don't know if this is going to go through or not. I may have to take the shroud off. 90% of the time, you got to take the shroud off to do that. And it looks like that might be the case. So it's easier for me just to remove the shroud. So I'm going to do that. And shrouds are really not hard to do. They all screw on, so they screw off. Only thing about it is, because this shroud here, it has a number of parts in there, I'm going to make sure that I keep those things in order. But other than that, it will come right off the front like this. And then once it's off, now you have access to the gun with no problem. You just take it, shove it in here. And as I said, I did a video. You might want to look at it on gun cleaning. But one of the things you're going to want when you get it back here, you're going to need to pull this thing here out. I'll pull it out on your side just to see. I got this little hook thing here that you can reach in and grab the loop. And once you grab the loop, you can pull the loop out like that, right here. And now with that, you can get your patch, your first patch that you're going to pull through. And you take your patch and you put it in here like this. And one thing you want to be real careful of is not to overdo it. Matter of fact, for this first pull through, I'm going to use 1 patch instead of 2. because you don't want to jam this patch in there. I did that one time, and let me tell you, it's a monster to try to get it out of here. So you put that in there, and then you grab my handle here. This is just off of a starting lawnmower. You can buy these things for like $2 at any hardware store. We'll try to pull it through. If it doesn't start easily, then don't do it. Like this one is starting, but it's not starting as easily as I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and pull this back out. But okay, we got that out. So we now know that this is a little bit too much to go through there. And what you want to do is you want to find out for each one of your guns how much of this you need. So I'm going to get some scissors and cut a piece of this off and see what happens then. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I got some scissors. I'm just going to cut this thing in half and try it again, because one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to jam this in there. If you ever jam this in there, getting it out is going to be a heck of a task. So when you clean your gun, make sure that you understand what size the patch should be. Just keep experimenting until you find the size, and then go with that from then on. Now that one there is almost a little too loose, but that's all right for the initial pass through. Now you can look at that right there and see just how black that thing is, and that's the gook that you got to get out of there in order to make this good. So what I'm going to do now is this, and I'm just going to cut this next one into a third. All I'm trying to do is find out what is the right diameter for this gun to have it do a double pull through. So take that, put it back here. Now this is a 177, so I think that'll come through. That's perfect. Hear that noise? That's when you know you got it perfect. So now I know that for this one you need 1 1/3. And as you can see, this thing is still really, really dirty. So we're going to go ahead and stick it even closer so you can see just how dirty it is. But now I know it's 1 1/3. So what I usually do is this. I'll take the third, throw it away, keep this patch here, and pull it through so that this clean piece comes through first on the inside like that. It's alright to use the patch over and over again a few times on the first pull through, because you're going to be picking up so much grease. It's not going to matter if you're going to put a new patch in. I'm just going to continue doing this until this is white. So I'm going to go off camera to do that. Okay, we're back and I'm down to the last patch. I'm telling you, I probably pull through this thing 20 times. 20 times to finally get it down to where the patch is white. Okay, and let me just show you what I've done over here. Okay, I pulled when you pull these patches through, instead of changing, start in the middle and then work your way out, and then work your way out this way, because you'll be coming through on a clean area. But as you can see, and then what I did was the last 5 I pulled through were wet, and I use alcohol, because alcohol is not going to damage the O-ring. I went to alcohol because alcohol is a good solvent for this. But the alcohol, if it gets on the O-ring, and when you pull this over, it's going to go down onto the O-ring, and it can eat that O-ring up. So be real careful as to what you use. Alcohol is going to just evaporate away. So there we are. We have this thing now all clean. Okay, now that I have the scope on and everything done, I've also gone in and made a modification on the Shroud. All of the P-series guns come with this metal baffling. And this metal baffling, whereas it works and it makes it backfire friendly, because it's metal, it tends to be a little bit loud. So I did a video on how to modify this Shroud. If you have one of these, so you might want to take a look at that video. But that's what I've done here, and I really quieted it down. Also what I did here is I lengthened this by 2 inches. So if you can see, I added extra baffling in the Shroud, and I was able to move the gun forward. This thing will move forward as far as you want to, up to about here, that you can fill this with baffling to get this thing quieter. And I don't mind the extra 1 inch on the gun. 2 inches on the gun. So that's done. Now what I want to do is I want to mess with this trigger. This trigger, when these things come, the trigger on them is set at probably 2 pounds or better. So the first thing I like to do, because this is a two-stage trigger, and that I can modify it, I'm going to take this gun apart, and it's just a couple of screws, one here and one here, and we're going to work on the linkage on this thing for firing this gun. And let me take it apart and we'll come right back. Okay, I've taken the gun apart, and here is just a gun without the stock in it. And to take it apart, all you need is a 3mm wrench. To get this off, there's only 2 screws you have to take out. So anyway, this is the linkage right now for the firing mechanism. You pull this trigger, and that pulls on this linkage that pulls this forward and makes the gun fire. Now you can adjust that by messing around with this up in here. So, okay, I'll come back for a second to show you something. And it's probably like this on the others too, but you don't have to mess with all of this linkage here. This linkage here is just for first stage. That's just your first stage. Your second stage is controlled by a pin back here. I'll try to get it closer. But there's a little thing in here, and you can use a, let me see what I have used on this thing. You can use a 1.5mm to go in and take this through here, this nut, loosen it. You can turn that in or out to adjust the tension. I think I got it down to about 1 pound. And that's about where I want it. Okay, we're back. I've adjusted the trigger to what I really like. I'll cock it for you and show you. Okay, with me, I want to go that first stage, and there's the first stage. You can feel, this is what I like about it. You take that first stage, you pull it back against it, and you know you're there. And you can hold right there. So if I'm out pesting and I'm about to shoot at something, I can bring that back thing right there back and just hold it right there until I'm ready to fire. And that's what's so nice about this, about 2-stage adjustable triggers. That first stage, I can adjust the travel on it, but I don't care what the travel is. You know, if the travel is, in this case, maybe a 1/4 of an inch, that's fine with me. As a matter of fact, that's even good, because I get it back there and I hold it right there, and then I just touch it. And when I touch it, and that gun is not going to shake. So when you get it, you might want to just make that adjustment for you, but you don't want to make it so light that you get a misfire or that it starts slipping back here. And you can actually hit the gun. It should actually take a drop test. Okay, you should be able to take this gun and cock it and beat it down and even drop it and not have it go off. And that's the test. You should be able to hit it with a rubber hammer and not have it go off. And if you're there, that's where you are. And I know this will not go off, and I love that 1-stage, 2-stage fire. So I have this gun all set up now. I'm ready. The trigger is set up. I mounted the best scope I think in the world for the money. This Leapers UTG AccuShot scope. Still, for the money, I think it's a great scope. I have it on all my guns because I want the same scope on all my guns so I can get used to that scope and shoot that scope every time. So it's mounted on here. So we're set now. All we got to do now, we've cleaned the barrel, we got the trigger set up, we've put the scope on it. Now the only thing we have to do now is take this thing outside and zero the scope. And once the scope is zeroed, we're ready to start going either to the range or just picking in the backyard, or even taking it out to the farm and doing some pesting with it. So the next thing we're going to do is put a side shot on here, take it out in the yard. I'm going to show you how I set the zero on it and how you can do it really, really quickly. So with that, we'll take it outside now and take a look at zero on this scope. Okay, we're outside now. What we're going to do now is I've got the scope mounted. I put the side shot on here so I can record this. And what we're going to do now, we're going to zero the scope. And I've done some videos on how to zoom a scope before, but since I'm doing this one now, we're going to go ahead and just add this to the video on how to do it. So what I've done is this. I'm going to start out really, really close, because you want to start out close because you have no idea where this thing is hitting. So I suggest you start no more than 20 yards out, 15 to 20 yards out. Get it zoomed in there, then move it out to 30, and then 40 if that's where you want to put it. My zero is 30 because that's why I shoot most of my shots at it, between 30 and 40 yards. So if I got it zeroed at 30, it's going to be good from 30 to 40. And when I got to 50, I have to start playing with elevations and using mill dots and that sort of thing. So right now, I have a target down there. I'm going to show it through here so you can see how I'm going to zoom this thing. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start on that now. So let's go. This is only 10 to 15 yards away. Okay, as you can see, that hit low left. So what I need to do is, so what I'm gonna try to do is do my best to hold that on there and move this thing. Okay, now I'm gonna hold it on here and try my best to move it the other way, and that would be left. Okay. The gun was shaking. If the gun wasn't shaking, I would have been able to do that better, but I'm kind of holding this with my hand because I'm shooting so close and aiming down. Let's try another one. Okay, that was a little right. Might have moved it too much. Okay, that's a little better. I think I need to move. I gotta move a little bit more to the left, so I'm gonna go 2 clicks. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna go 3 clicks and try it again. Right now, what I'm really trying to do is get this thing to be hitting up and down. I'm gonna go to oh no, I'm gonna stay here. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good because it's got to hit under because it's going to rise when I get out to 30. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move this thing out to 30. Every now and then I get that flyer. Well, I got one hole down there, so a little to the right, but I'm not going to do any more adjusting on it. I'm going to call that good. It's in. That's that little eighth of an inch don't mean that much, but I'll work on that again tomorrow. All right, let's finish it out. Well, we have it zeroed. We have it zeroed at 40 yards, and I know a lot of people say, won't you shoot it more? If you remember my philosophy is this: lay it down range, and how much it should cost you to put it down there, depending on what you want to do. And that philosophy just says this: if you're going to be shooting some sparrows in your backyard or keeping the squirrel population down or chipmunk population down on your property, I don't think you should pay $2,000 to do that. I think $500 will more than satisfy that. If you want to go with some of the other guns like the Hat Sons and some of my other guns that are under $500 in my top 10 guns under $500, you can go with some of those too and get in as cheap as $300 on some of the guns. And that's all it is. What does it take to do what it is you want to do, and how much money should it take to do that? And in my particular case, it does not take $2,000 to go on the farm and pest. This $465 or so gun will do it just fine. If you look at my videos, you see that it does it just fine. So with that, this baby is ready to go. The next time you see this thing, I might take it to the range, but I think more than likely I'm just gonna take it to the farm and see how she do. And I don't expect this gun to do any different than my P15 over there that has probably a few thousand rounds through it without any issue. I'm hoping that this thing here will be the same. After all, it's the 4th generation. So with that, I'm gonna close this video down. But I will be putting a sling on here. I just didn't want to do it on camera. We'll talk about it. I got a video out there on how to get a sling in the P15s, and it won't be any different for this. Basically, you're gonna take it off. You're gonna take this gun apart like I did before, like I showed in the video, and you're gonna put a stud in here. Or you may not have to. You can either screw in a stud. You can just do it right here. You're going to drop it right there on this side though, so this gun will hang just like this when you're hunting, and bring it up. So I will be adding that because sometimes when I'm in the field I have to have both hands free to reload magazines, to do all kinds of things. So it has to have a sling, but I'm not going to go into that right now. So with that, I'm just going to call it a day, and you guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and please share if you know people that like this kind of stuff, and keep it safe. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you soon.